for Bernardo. That call continues to be cried out by hundreds of protesters in Utah's capital city. But this time, this protest was not without incident. We'll show you.
And as COVID-19 cases surge in Utah, the mask mandate in Salt Lake and Summit counties is now officially in effect. How people and businesses are reacting.
And wildfires across Utah continue to grow. Tonight, an update on one fire that's prompted evacuations in the southern part of our state.
And tomorrow we're going to see the winds of change, strong winds ahead of our next cold front. When will it hit? I'll let you know the forecast.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Fox 13 News at 9.
First on Fox 13, a protest over the death of Bernardo Palacios has just wrapped up in downtown Salt Lake City.
Fox 13's Spencer Joseph has been with the crowds, following them across town all night, and joins us live now. Spencer, what's happening now?
Well, the protest just wrapped up about half an hour ago. You can see they've left this makeshift memorial to Bernardo here. You can see a large cross. Not only that, but here at the place where he was shot and killed, you can see they've completely covered parts of it in Justice for Bernardo posters. But this isn't the only place they went. We followed them as they went to DA Sim Gill's office to demand justice.
This is like my family. This is my community.
What do we want?
I would do this for anyone from here that died the way that he did. It's a responsibility.
Saturday evening, hundreds took to the streets of Salt Lake City demanding justice for Bernardo Palacios, starting at the place where he was shot and killed.
It makes me feel confident that we're moving in the right direction, that more people are realizing what happened to Bernardo.
Palacios was shot by Salt Lake City police officers on May 23rd, after officers were responding to reports of a man threatening people with a gun. Protesters calling for Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill to charge those officers involved. Covering the front of the DA's office in signs and painting a portion of the pavement on 500 South in front of his office bright red. And this protest wasn't without incidents.
Turn your car around right now.
So I got off and presented my bike in front of me, and then he still proceeded forward, trying to run me over.
This man says he was hit by a car trying to get through protesters. His bike was slightly damaged. While he wasn't hurt, he says this is why he was out here.
I have to be out here to try and protect those who can't protect themselves as easily.
Protesters say they saw another car earlier also trying to break through lines, damaging protesters' cars.
There was a line of cars very clearly blocking the street that had been effective for probably 30 minutes at that point, and one continued speeding. They hit like a very old Volvo.
These two explained to us what they saw.
Through a crowd of people.
Yeah, they got it and people were hitting it.
Yeah, there were people yelling, people asking them to stop and to get off the side of the street.
The group continued their full circle back to the spot where Bernardo Palacios was shot.
From here on out, we just keep putting pressure where it matters on Aaron Mendenhall and Sim Gill. Piece by piece, we will get justice for Bernardo.
The district attorney's office and Unified Police say they're still continuing their investigation. We reached out to the district attorney's office to ask when they may finish that investigation. They said in the next couple of weeks, but before they make any final decisions, they say they want to have all of the evidence. Live in Salt Lake City, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Spencer, thank you. Meanwhile, the Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill is responding to some rumors that are spreading online, claiming a Salt Lake City police officer was involved in 2 deadly shootings, one being Bernardo Palacios. Gill sent this statement to Fox 13, dispelling the rumors, saying in part, factual inaccuracies lead to misunderstanding and confusion. I would ask everyone to refrain from speculation as we gather all the facts. He goes on to say that the officer in question was not involved in the Palacios shooting. You can read his full statement on fox13now.com.
Meanwhile, signs of solidarity against police brutality and in support of the Black Lives Matter movement were made in a high-profile setting at Zions Bank Stadium in Harriman. Take a look. NWSL players from the North Carolina Courage and Portland Thorns FC kneeled during the national anthem. This was before their match in the NWSL Challenge Cup. You can see players from both teams also wore Black Lives Matter shirts while they were kneeling. We'll have a recap of this game coming up later in sports. We have a new fire burning in southern Utah this evening, threatening trailheads and power lines in Kane County.
The Wire Pass fire is estimated to be more than 1,500 acres. It's just about 20 miles east of Kanab, and we're told hikers in that area of Wire Pass and the Wave are being evacuated. And the roads around the Buckskin Gulch trailhead have been closed.
This time of year, you could have 30, 40, even 50 cars in there. Potentially a couple hundred people hiking that canyon on a Saturday like this.
And firefighters are doing the best they can to gain control of this fire because they expect winds to increase to some 50 miles per hour tomorrow. And that, of course, creates more challenges as they try to put this out.
Meanwhile, the Canal Fire is north of Oak City in Millard County, and it is now fully contained. Fire crews say this fire burned 450 acres. We're told all structures and power lines in the area are no longer threatened.
The Antelope Fire and Rock Path Fire have been combined. Now just the Rock Path Fire is over 20,000 acres with 25% containment. No structures are threatened currently.
And these fire crews, along with our Breck Bolton, keeping a close eye on weather conditions as that could help or hurt the crews out there on those fire lines, Breck.
Yeah, we don't need that wind.
No, well, it's coming, and it's going to be elevated fire concern come tomorrow. Let's talk about the current conditions across the state. Looking at radar, we are looking at showers threatening, but let's first focus in on the current conditions near some of those wildfires that are burning. First, the Rock Path Fire, as we've been talking about, burning through Beaver County. As we're taking a look right now, sustained winds at 20 miles per hour. In addition, low humidities turning towards the Wire Pass Fire, again just east of Kanab. We're finding calm conditions right now. However, we have been seeing some winds anywhere between 10 to 20 miles per hour with the combination of those low humidities. So moving forward, from the National Weather Service, red flag warnings will be in place as we move tonight through tomorrow, and high wind warnings across west central, southwestern Utah. So again, where that Rock Path Fire is burning, we're just going to enhance the concern here, as I mentioned, as those winds will be just fanning those flames come tomorrow, and it really gets going early on Sunday. Currently, though, as we take a look in that region again, near Milford, we're at 20 miles per hour, 30 mile per hour winds right now at Delta. Things should begin to calm down just a little bit overnight. But as I said, those winds really kicking up as we start things up on Sunday morning. Now let's take a look at SkyTracker Doppler radar. We're looking at the possibility of some scattered thunderstorms in the forecast as we move into Sunday and then into Monday. That's also an additional concern in that Mother Nature could be sparking some fires, as of course we've been seeing lightning here over the past week here and there. That's not what we want to see in addition. But those showers now moving on, as you can see, throughout central or south central Utah, impacting areas such as Lake Powell, Hanksville as well. Some showers potentially could provide for a little rain in Delta, pushing over towards Fillmore, Nephi as well. And then some thunderstorms rolling through areas such as Tremont and Snowville, where things lining up for an additional cold front that's going to be pushing through come tomorrow. So we've got big changes due to this next storm system. We're going to talk about the chance of rain, where winds will be, and how far temperatures will be dropping. Those details coming up.
And we're following breaking news tonight in Northern California, where a shooting at a Walmart distribution center has left 2 people dead and 4 others wounded. This is happening in Red Bluff. That's just south of Redding. Authorities say the shooting happened during a shift change. The gunman was reportedly carrying an assault rifle type weapon. He was shot by police after he rammed his vehicle into the facility where workers clock in and out. The extent of the gunman's injuries are unknown at this time. We, of course, will track this story and update you as soon as we learn more.
Now to the latest coronavirus numbers here in Utah. Another person has died here in the state as a result of the coronavirus. Today, the state is reporting 578 new positive cases of the virus. The latest death is a woman over the age of 85. She's from San Juan County. In all, nearly 323,000 tests have been performed, and there are currently 109 positive cases still hospitalized. That's up from 15 yesterday.
We have an update now on the COVID-19 outbreak at a Utah veterans home. Since the beginning of the outbreak, the William E. Christopherson Salt Lake Veterans Home has had a total of 51 residents test positive for the virus. 19 are still receiving care at the facility. 19 have recovered and 13 have sadly passed away. The Utah Department of Veteran and Military Affairs says they have not had any new cases since early this month. Meanwhile, 29 staff members have tested positive at the home. 4 have since recovered. Today is the first day of mandatory mask orders in Salt Lake and Summit counties, but in some cases there are exceptions.
Fox 13's Adam Herbetz went to the Crown Colony baseball fields in Holiday, and he has a look at how people are following those new restrictions.
Well, the Little League players, the parents, and the Salt Lake County Health Department all agree. The games must go on, and there is still a way to do it safely, in some cases even without masks. Still, the exceptions are very specific, and nobody wants to get a misdemeanor for not following the rules.
Come on, Dolan.
Come on, Dolan, hit it.
Well, we're thrilled that we can play baseball here at Crown Colony. We think that baseball is the perfect sport for social distancing.
All right, guys, let's do it. Let's have a good game.
Be ready, pay attention.
On the first day of a Salt Lake County mask mandate, Little League players in Holiday are looking at baseball as their safe haven. Kids not required to wear a mask while exercising.
Good swing, Jackie.
Fans not required to wear a mask outdoors if they're 6 feet apart.
I think it's sort of like a blessing, just so I can still go outside and have fun a little bit.
I have diabetes, so I try to be a little bit careful.
Is that why you're wearing your mask?
Yeah, probably more so than some people. I know a lot of people don't like to be told what to do. I'm one of those, but I think most people are using pretty good judgment.
For some families, this was the post-game lunch spot, where businesses like Caputo's Deli say they're grateful for a decision from the governor.
So far, we haven't had to deal with anyone making a scene, and everyone's been really understanding, which, was something we were worried about, but so far, so good.
But even back on the baseball field, there are limitations. Players encouraged to wear their mask in the dugout when social distancing isn't possible, and coaches and umpires masking up within 6 feet of anyone, especially kids.
It's up to us as parents to model good behavior and the behavior we want to see our kids follow.
Back out here at the baseball diamond, the league also runs a snack shack where they grill things like hot dogs and hamburgers for anyone who would like to buy them. The Salt Lake County Health Department says that is okay so long as they have a permit, which they do, and so long as they are wearing a mask if social distancing is not possible. Reporting in Holiday, Adam Herbetz, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If you plan on taking public transportation, soon you'll be required to bring your face mask along for the ride. Today, UTA announced face coverings will be required for all UTA riders and employees beginning July 1st. Riders in Salt Lake and Summit counties are currently required to wear a mask in accordance with those counties' public health orders.
Today, the Utah Pride Center teamed with the University of Utah Health to offer free COVID-19 tests. The organizations wanted to offer the test as a resource for the LGBT community, but said that anyone was welcome to stop on by. The Pride Center expected more than 150 people to be tested. The process was quick as people were tested from inside their cars, answered a few short questions, and then went on their way.
I hope that everyone starts to consider ways to stay healthy, both physically healthy and mental health, because that is as important in this particular time of crisis. And places like the Utah Pride Center, other community spaces are where you can find that connection.
And with suicide rates up during the crisis, the Pride Center took time to emphasize itself as a resource for those struggling with mental health.
Still a lot more ahead on Fox 13 News at 9 tonight. Coming up, a Utah lawmaker speaking out against one of his fellow colleagues for controversial tweets comparing Governor Herbert to Adolf Hitler. What he has to say about the divisive messages on social media.
Plus, police are on the lookout for a stolen Jeep, but wait until you hear how they say this man got away with the vehicle.
This is Fox 13 News.
Welcome back. Today we're hearing from a Utah State representative after one of his colleagues defended another politician for comparing Governor Gary Herbert to Hitler. While some are upset over the mask mandates, saying they infringe on their rights, others are upset with two lawmakers whose tweets compared Governor Herbert to Hitler. Paiute County Commissioner Darren Bushman sent the first tweet and was later defended by Representative Phil Lyman. Head of the Utah Democratic Caucus, Representative Brian King, called the tweet offensive and asked Representative Lyman to pull it down.
This is a colleague of mine in the House of Representatives, and I think it is not helpful for the people of the state of Utah in terms of how they perceive what we're doing at the House of Representatives and perceiving what we're trying to do specifically with regard to this pandemic, this COVID crisis, to make these kind of comparisons.
Representative King acknowledges the difficulty to have a political discussion on Twitter or Facebook. We have reached out to Commissioner Bushman for comment and have not heard back. Now, Lyman and Bushman are both supporters of Greg Hughes for governor. We reached out to his campaign and have also not heard back.
West Valley City Police are hoping you can help them identify a man who they say stole a Jeep. Police say this man took the Jeep for a test drive and never came back. An officer pulled him over for a traffic violation, but the driver took off before it was confirmed the Jeep was stolen. If you know who this man is or if you've seen the Jeep, please contact West Valley Police.
The Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office has arrested a man for allegedly trying to stab his ex-wife at a Denny's in Midvale. Happened on Thursday when police say 46-year-old James Burritt here met his wife near 400 West and 7200 South to discuss divorce decree issues. Well, investigators say Burritt pulled out a knife and tried to cut his ex-wife and her boyfriend. Burritt was then taken into custody and booked into the Salt Lake County Jail. He faces multiple charges, including aggravated assault.
And police in West Valley City mourning the loss of a retired canine. Copper began training at West Valley City Police when he was just 11 weeks old. At 9 months old, he tracked down a hit-and-run suspect. West Valley City Police say during his service, he tracked down lots of suspects and even one lost little boy. In all, Copper worked for the department for 9 years.
Salt Lake County Search and Rescue got a group of teens off of Lone Peak last night. The group of 4 teens hiked to Lone Peak when one of them began vomiting around 7:45 last night. And when they realized that their friend couldn't make it down the trail on his own, they had to call Search and Rescue. A Department of Public Safety helicopter flew the teens down where the sick teen was evaluated by the Draper Fire Department.
Some overnight road closures in northern Utah you need to know about tonight. I-15 and Layton will be closed in both directions between Layton Parkway and Antelope Drive both tonight and tomorrow. Crews will be working to widen the Gentile Street Bridge as part of UDOT's I-15 Express Lane project. All traffic will be diverted onto Main Street until 9 o'clock Sunday morning until 5 a.m. on Monday. Snowbasin is welcoming guests back for summer activities.
So going forward, the resort will be open Saturdays and Sundays from 9 in the morning until 3. But it comes with enhanced safety measures in place. Those summer operations are going to include the Needles Gondola Service, mini golf, mountaintop yoga, and mountaintop outdoor dining. And the Grizzly Center will also be open for shopping. It is recommended, though, you buy your tickets online, and when you get to the resort, don't bring cash. They aren't accepting it this year.
Not a bad place to go social distancing, to stay outside and get some fresh air.
And kind of up and out of the extreme heat.
Exactly.
Right. Great place, of course, to get that break or relief. Head for the hills or head for the lakes, where many people did that today as we found afternoon highs well above normal. I want to share a photo coming in from a viewer. Scott Taylor up near Electric Lake. I've never been here. It's near Schofield. Looks like that water is calm. You have some kayaks. You've got people on paddle boards. Boy, tomorrow, though, balancing on a paddleboard, I don't think you have a chance, as we're going to be picking up these winds, and definitely a day you want to avoid the lakes and moving into the mountains as well to get a break from the heat. We've got a possibility of some scattered thunderstorms in effect as we transition into Sunday. Ahead of that cold front, as we've been talking about, it was hot today with an official high of 97 degrees in Salt Lake City. On average, we should be in the upper 80s, record set back in 1958. At 102, now we're going the opposite direction with a big cool down on the way. But as we look across the state, many spots in the 90s, mid-90s, even up in Logan, close to triple digits in Milford, and you've been contending with some strong winds throughout the afternoon in that region. 103 for the high in St. George. Currently, we're in the 80s. I give you a view from our Oquirrh Mountain camera. We look off towards the west. Dark, ominous clouds beginning to form. That's associated with our next storm system, again, which will be changing things up for tomorrow. And as I mentioned earlier in the newscast, fire weather warnings, red flag warnings that will be in place throughout tomorrow and potentially into Monday, especially across southeastern Utah. The focus really with the strongest winds will be across west central through southwestern Utah. In that area, high wind warning will be in place until tomorrow night. We could see gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour. Yeah, we have that fire that's burning both as we look in Millard and Beaver counties and then turning towards King County as well. It's not a good situation for those fires, and hopefully we don't start any additional fires, which we're going to see a possibility of some thunderstorms in effect, where we're seeing a little isolated activity as we see this band now transitioning over towards Hanksville down through Lake Powell. Across northern Utah, as I mentioned, looking off towards the west, a line of thunderstorms potentially impacting the northern Wasatch Front, Tremont and Cache Valley, Ridge County as we move through the overnight hours. That push of moisture associated with the cool front that's again pushing on our doorstep, and behind it we've got some cool air that's going to be funneling in from Canada and significantly dropping temperatures as we go Monday and lingering on into Tuesday. Let's talk about the timing of this front and what will happen for tomorrow with our computer models. The clock here tonight. Let's push through tomorrow morning. We're increasing clouds overnight. Winds not too bad yet as we start off Sunday morning. We're seeing that cold front right on our doorstep. It's going to take a little time. It pushes through at least across northern Utah throughout the afternoon. Gives us a chance of some showers, thunderstorms as well. It looks like the central southern end of the Wasatch Front, but mainly over the mountains. But we're kicking up the winds all across the state with the strongest wind gusts, as mentioned, central, southern, southwestern Utah. Then the front stalls out overnight, tomorrow night through Monday morning. We start to see more active weather tomorrow night. Definitely can see some thunderstorms. Could keep you awake as you hear that clap there. And then Monday morning, it's a wet start. Rain heavy in some spots for Monday morning, especially for the commute. We could see some wet roads. Then it's more scattered showers as we head into Monday afternoon. All in all, that front pushing through, we see those temperatures drop. Tonight then, a chance of some thunderstorms northwestern through the northern Wasatch Front as we look with overnight lows mild because of the warmer air pushing through in the clouds as well. It's a decent chance of some rain and some scattered showers and thunderstorms across northern Utah. We've got the wind statewide as temperatures once again above normal. A little cooler though as we go from 90s in St. George to 80s on Monday. You're not going to see the rain. You're hanging on to the winds on Monday, and then it warms back up into the triple digits as we look towards the 4th of July. Northern Utah, it's 90s to 60s. Chances of thunderstorms and showers tomorrow. Better chance of rain Monday. Slight chance Tuesday. 60s and 70s climbing into the 80s. And for the 4th of July, we're back into the 90s. So there's the break from the heat, but we got to bring the winds. It looks like we're going to bring a chance of rain.
All right, thanks, Breck. Well, still to come, we're just a few days out from Utah's primary election day, but we might not find out who wins right away. We're going to explain why.
And welcome back. Tuesday is Utah's primary election day, but don't expect complete results that night. In fact, state elections officials tell Fox 13's Ben Winslow it could be days, possibly weeks, before we know who won.
As political candidates do what they can to campaign during the COVID-19 pandemic, state elections officials are warning it could be a while before we know who won.
We're really asking everyone to be patient.
7 counties in Utah are doing some form of drive-up voting, mostly along the Wasatch Front. The rest are exclusively vote by mail because of novel coronavirus.
There's no election day registration, for example. So really these are set up for people who have lost their ballots, who never got a ballot in the first place, people that need assistance. But the people really should not think of this as a normal voting location.
But the state is letting people still affiliate as a Republican at one of those drive-up locations only. All of that creates delays for finding out who won the race.
They'll take a little longer now because you can postmark your ballot on election day, so ballots will come in a few days after. Counties are also quarantining ballots for 24 hours to be safe and cautious, so that'll take a few days longer to count those ballots.
The earliest results will be posted as 10 p.m. on Election Day, so it could be days, even weeks, if some races are close. There's record high turnout, with interest in the governor's, attorney general, and congressional races.
People who are used to getting results and hoping that races are called on election night are probably going to be disappointed.
On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
This week we've had more ICU patients with COVID than we've ever had.
Still ahead, bed space at Dixie Regional Medical Center in southern Utah is running out. Here are the urgent plea health officials are making to the public. Plus, some new details behind a deadly plane crash in Centerville and how the man who survived the crash is doing tonight.
Live from Fox 13 Studios, this is Fox 13 News at 9.
Thanks for joining us tonight. The ICU at one St. George Hospital nearly reached capacity this week, and now the medical director there is asking for help.
Fox 13's Sydney Glenn shows us how the hospital is planning, plus the measures being taken by one of the area's most popular attractions to slow the spread.
We need your help.
Plain and simple, Dr. Patrick Carroll says he needs Washington County residents to do their part in helping slow the spread of COVID-19.
Even if we aren't feeling sick, we may be positive and not know it. We may spread that to other people and not know it.
With about a quarter of Washington County's residents being over the age of 65, Dr. Carroll warns of the dangers from COVID-19. Just this week, Dr. Carroll said Dixie Regional Medical Center almost had to open a surge ICU because the ICU was almost full. About 1/3 of the patients were there because of COVID-19.
This week we've had more ICU patients with COVID than we've ever had.
Now he's asking everyone to step up. Over at Zion National Park, park staff is trying to do just that.
You're going to see park staff with masks, but for the visitors, we're asking them, it's their responsibility to wear masks.
There are reusable masks for sale and free disposable ones being handed out. And just like the virus, the number of people wanting to get inside Zion National Park's Scenic Drive doesn't seem to be slowing either.
We get maybe 300 to 400 folks lining up in the morning, as early as 2 in the morning, sometimes earlier, to hope to get up there.
Whether you're visiting St. George for these Zion views or you live here, Dr. Carroll is begging everyone to do what they can so these hospital beds can stay open and ready for the other emergencies life throws at us.
Having ICU beds available is critical for the normal things that happen in life. When our loved one has a stroke.
In St. George, Sydney Glenn, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Meanwhile, in Moab, Dead Horse Point State Park is canceling some of its events due to the spread of COVID-19. In this Facebook post, the park says they will be immediately discontinuing all in-person star partiers and evening programs and guided hikes until further notice. The Astronomy Festival that was scheduled to begin on July 10th has also been canceled, but they hope to reschedule when those cases decline.
In Nevada, a suspect is dead after an officer-involved shooting in Elko. Nevada Highway Patrol says it happened last night around 10:30 when a trooper made a traffic stop on a suspected drunk driver near 12th and River Streets. The suspect then tried to run away, pulled a gun, and fired at the trooper. The trooper fired back and hit the suspect. The trooper was not injured, but he's now on paid administrative leave.
New at 9, we've learned the sole survivor in a deadly plane crash near Centerville Thursday was a recently retired lieutenant with the Davis County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office says Jason Sorensen, who now works as a full-time hoist paramedic and pilot with Intermountain Life Flight, 2 bystanders helped save Jason from the fiery wreckage on Thursday. Both of Sorensen's legs were later amputated. Right now, he is recovering at the University of Utah's Burn Center in the ICU. A charity account has been set up for Jason's name at America First Credit Union, and we have a link to that on fox13now.com.
And also new at 9, a youth boxing instructor from Syracuse behind bars tonight. He's accused of selling THC to minors. Deputies arrested John Bryant, accusing him of a number of drug charges as well as money laundering. Court documents indicate Bryant even went on Snapchat to allegedly advertise the THC cartridges that he was selling. Bryant's being held without bail because authorities fear he may flee to his home state of Washington if he's released.
A lawsuit challenging state rules on citizen referendums could go before the Utah Supreme Court. Steve Maxfield, Daniel Newby, and others are suing in federal court, and they want that citizen referendum. That's where the voters decide whether to accept or reject laws that the legislature has passed. The referendum was rejected because some of the plaintiffs haven't voted recently, which the law requires. In new court filings, the Attorney General's office says the Utah Supreme Court should decide this issue.
Downtown Salt Lake City is seeing more signs of recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. The Downtown Alliance reports 22% of office workers are back in their offices now, and 75% of retail stores downtown are open. 121 restaurants and bars are now serving. That's up from last week. But hotel occupancy is only at 22% of last year's levels, and there are no conventions scheduled through July. Visit Salt Lake is currently trying to attract leisure travelers within driving distance of Salt Lake City.
Still to come tonight, we're going to show you how some frontline workers are gaining some valuable experience that will serve them in the long run after the pandemic ends.
And before we go to a break, I want to show a view from our Intermountain camera. Previous nights, we've been seeing a glowing sunset. Tonight, it's clouds, darker clouds to the northwest associated with a cold front right on our doorstep. What does it mean for the rest of the weekend forecast? A chance of rain for sure. Is it cold enough that some of us might see snow? I'll let you know after the break.
As COVID-19 testing increases, so does the demand for frontline workers to perform those tests. Fox 13's Kelly Chapman shows us how the Medical Reserve Corps in Salt Lake City is getting creative.
It's become a method of healthcare during the pandemic. Drive up, stay in your car, and get swabbed. But at this particular site, the people behind the masks are not registered nurses.
The students have absolutely just loved doing this. They have learned things that you just wouldn't learn if you weren't on the front lines.
The Medical Reserve Corps is providing medical support for communities in Salt Lake County, using nursing students to reach more people, providing more testing.
I feel like you see a different side of people because not only are they scared to get the test done, but they're scared to be part of a global pandemic and that they might be affecting their loved ones or themselves.
They're learning how to case manage and work with a population that needs more support and not just a clinical skill like putting in an IV. They're learning how to call a shelter for a bed, or to call a pharmacy and make sure that that medication is ready and available.
The Ameritech nursing students have been able to identify COVID hotspots, offer free testing, and provide education to homeless and refugee communities.
I really truly think that this will create a model for other nursing programs to follow, especially in major emergencies.
A model students will remember and certainly attribute their training to.
I think that's a lot of what I'll take away is being able to take time to really be able to communicate with people in a very therapeutic manner.
Kelly Chapman, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And still to come, Utah is playing a big part in sending humans into deep space. We're going to show you the latest contribution that was made by the Beehive State.
Later in sports, golf, both national and local. Highlights from round 3 of the Utah Championship. Plus, team sports is now back on in America, and more specifically right here in the Beehive State. Challenge Cup action in a bit.
You're watching Fox 13 News. Let's connect.
And welcome back. Rocket boosters made right here in Utah have been sent to the Kennedy Space Center.
Yeah, those will be added to the core stage of NASA's Space Launch System rocket. It's the only vehicle that can send humans on deep space missions.
Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher details the time and dedication that went into building these boosters and the mission ahead.
It's an incredible milestone.
3, 2, 1, fire.
At our Promontory, Utah facility, we have completed manufacturing of 10 booster segments for Artemis II and are halfway to completion on Artemis III booster segments.
After several years of design, testing, and development, 2 solid rocket boosters left Northrop Grumman in Promontory, Utah, and arrived at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
In the effort to transition the program to send crew and astronauts back to the moon and onto Mars, industry collaborated with NASA to design what would be reminiscent of the Apollo Saturn V. However, we call it the Space Launch System today.
In hopes of sending the next man and first woman to the moon.
The Artemis program is just designed to return to the moon with much more capability to make it sustainable so that we could create an outpost for exploration that is semi-permanent.
5 rocket motors are what make up a single booster. Each booster tested 5 times here in Utah. It took a year and a half to complete.
Each rocket booster, whether for flight or a ground test, provides a maximum thrust of 3.6 million pounds and generates more thrust than 14 four-engine jumbo commercial airliners.
The boosters will provide more than 75% of the initial thrust of NASA's Space Launch System rocket for the first 2 minutes of the flight.
So when this flies, all of that boost will be Utah's. A huge step for us, and one that should inspire, the future explorers and engineers and scientists.
The Space Launch System for Artemis is the biggest launch vehicle ever to fly. The first flight is expected to happen in 2021. Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Space travel and science are fascinating. That's why Breck is fascinating as well. And this forecast,
Just one of many reasons.
Really, it has it all. If you like 90s, it's great. If you like the 60s, it's great.
You're getting
There's
it all.
Something for everyone here, Breck.
Well, that's quite the introduction. Thanks, John. Yeah, we're going to be seeing quite a bit of changes here as we push through Sunday into Monday. Cold front on our doorstep, pushing in some clouds across northern Utah, even some isolated thunderstorms that we need to talk about. Still holding on to the upper 80s at this hour. Our average high for this time of year is 87 degrees, so we're above that even as we push closer towards 10 o'clock. Now, winds, they weren't too bad across the Wasatch Front. They'll be fairly calm overnight, but by tomorrow, it's going to be a blustery day. We're going to have strong winds with several wind advisories in place. I don't know if you just saw that. There was a little bit of a flash there with some lightning that just went down a little bit further northwest. But we're going to be looking at those winds, which could kick up dust, and of course, it's a big fire concern as well. Get ready. Big changes tomorrow and even bigger changes thereafter. Okay, as we talk about the fire concern, here's a couple of points to make up. We know about the winds, but also we're going to be looking at the possibility of some scattered thunderstorms across northern and central Utah. As we look at the red flag warnings that have been in place across Utah, it's incorporating most of the western United States. So throughout that same region, as we transition from today through tomorrow, we're elevating the fire concern where it's going to be severe with that kind of ingredients in place. Yes, the red flag warning says we have low humidities, the winds, isolated thunderstorms where Mother Nature potentially could be sparking some additional fires, which that has been the case with the wildfires that have been burning here over the past 3 or 4 days. So looking ahead from the Severe Weather Prediction Center, as they incorporate looking at the potential for those thunderstorms, they give you kind of a hot zone that we're looking at fire enhancement there with those thunderstorms. And you can see we're looking at northern, central, southwestern Utah come tomorrow, and we're looking Sunday. Hopefully by Monday afternoon improvements, except eastern Utah will hold on to that threat as we'll be continuing to see some gusty winds. So tomorrow you're seeing the winds, you're also looking at the dust, and also with the southwest flow with those fires burning, at least through central Utah, you might have with air quality some problems with the smoke as well. Now, as I mentioned, we are seeing still some isolated showers southern Utah. They're really dissipating across the Wasatch Front. That's not the case. They're actually enhancing here as we're looking at a line of thunderstorms moving through right now associated with the first wave in front, which is bringing in a possibility of some showers through Box Elder County, Tooele County as well. I'm kind of expanding the area there where overnight from Provo all the way up to the Utah-Idaho border, there is a potential, maybe seeing some isolated showers. Maybe you get awoken by a little bit of thunder as well. But that's just the beginning. As this cold front really pushes through, we'll see a widespread rain showers and even some scattered thunderstorms as we move through tomorrow. So looking ahead, the best chance and who gets the rain as we go from tonight through tomorrow, it's mainly looking like mountains get hit hard, but even across the central southern end of the Wasatch Front through tomorrow afternoon. The front and the colder air really pushing through, though, come tomorrow night through Monday morning. As you're looking at all that in yellow with the potential maybe finding an inch of precipitation in some locations, as it will bring rain showers and some thunderstorms down through central Utah as well, and then improvements as we head into Tuesday. Now, I mentioned snow. It's cold enough that snow levels will be dropping down to about 7,000 feet. So we're not worried about benches. You might not see it in Park City, but if you look up in the mountains not too far, you might see a well-defined snow line by Monday morning into Monday afternoon. So for tomorrow, though, let's take a look at the clouds. But the showers get going 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and then you start to see temperatures quickly dropping. But ahead of the front, we'll be back into the 90s and upper 80s across northern and central Utah. You're avoiding the showers across the south, but you've got the strong wind gusts. You're seeing the showers mainly throughout the afternoon across northern Utah. You don't get rain in St. George. You do get 80s though for a couple days, back into the 90s. And for 4th of July, it's going to be hot, sunny with temperatures just over 100 degrees. Now for northern Utah, it's 90s to 60s. Wow, what a major temperature swing. We've got the rain, especially in the morning on Monday. Chance of an afternoon shower on Tuesday. Then it's dry with warming back up into the upper 80s as we head into Thursday. And then low 90s with a little bit of a breeze for the 4th of July.
A trio with Utah ties wrapping up round 3 at the Utah Championship Saturday. Patrick Fishburne shot a 65. He's in great shape at 12 under in a tie for 18th. Danny Summerhays a stroke back at -11 with Mike Weir at 9 under heading into tomorrow's finale. Farmington's Oak Ridge Country Club playing host to this Korn Ferry Tour event. An American surging late, Paul Haley II. Not an easy birdie by any stretch to wrap up that front 9 in style. Then at 14 for the lead at 17 under, chalk him up for a one-stroke advantage along with Kyle Jones. Company in Connecticut at the Travelers. This deer just abysmal with the putter Saturday. Speaking of off his game, Phil Mickelson with the lead going in, only to shoot 71 this afternoon. Literally over chips into the railroad tracks. Dustin Johnson, he was surging, 9 birdies, no bogeys, to move to within a couple of strokes of that top spot. The 34-year-old from Pittsburgh, Brendan Todd, he is at the top right now at -18. Utah Royals FC now just 3 days out from the start of their season when they take on the Houston Dash at Zions Bank Stadium in Harriman. The Fanless Challenge Cup actually underway today with 2 games on the schedule, including this one here, North Carolina and Portland. Scoreless till the 75th. The cross knocked in by Dabina for the Courage. The Thorns prick a few minutes later. Simone Naomi Charlie on that rebound poke to equalize it, but the match would end 6 minutes into stoppage time. Lynn Williams playing hero for Carolina. 2-1 the final. Weber State had a rough campaign, uncharacteristic for Randy Ray, who also lost the program's all-time leading scorer, Jarek Harding, to graduation. But he's added 9 new players over the offseason, many through that transfer portal to help fill some gaping holes up in Ogden.
We've always been able to really shoot the ball around here from the three-point range, and last year was we just didn't shoot the ball well. And so that was the other thing we had to evaluate and assess that we needed. And then we had to have a couple more playmakers, guys that just could make some plays with the ball. And I feel like we addressed those needs. I really do.
More with Coach Ray tomorrow on the sports page. And highlights from home where it's never too early to daydream.
Clear the lane for me. Tell the crowd to stand up and yell my name for me.
Boston Nelson of Brigham City, not even 2 yet, but here's the crowd go wild on his way for the game winner against the Crib. Then he got his diaper changed. To the great outdoors, God's country here, little Maddie Brimhall fishing with Grandpa and has something. Is it a shark? Hopefully something I can eat. And ending with a nice trick off the ramp by Michael Bjarnson of Sandy. If you want to be on, send them in. Sports at fox13now.com. We will be right back.
While many of us haven't heard live music in a while, animals at the local aquarium have been getting their own private concerts. Take a listen.
Oh no, I'm gonna hear that.
Any song but that.
I'm gonna hear that in my sleep. I'm having nightmares tonight. Keepers at the Loveland Living Planet Aquarium make sure to provide animals with fresh experiences every day, and that includes hearing the violin. The keepers say the vibrations from the instrument help stimulate the animals and keep them active. Great violin players right there.
Do you think the
Song
animals
choice.
are like, make it stop? No, they did great.
I already have it
and
stuck in my
thanks for
head.
watching Fox 13 News at 9.
Go to Sprout Morning for Good Day Utah, bright and early at 6:30.
And Quick Cast is next.